In my last video, I was just about to fly back to Oregon because my mom was intubated in an induced coma in the ICU. I'm in Denver now, waiting for the last flight to Portland. A couple hours wait here. I'll be getting into Portland about 11 o'clock at night. I made it back to Oregon safely and am now at my dad's. We're gonna go see Mom today. I wanted to say something first. My Uncle Greg has been a real blessing to us through this time. Greg has a medical background, having been a dentist. Updates on Mom's condition have been coming from the doctor through him. Forgive me for just reading this, but let me read the latest group text from my uncle. Hi everybody, I just now got an update on Linda. She is completely off her paralytic sedative and pain medications. She is still intubated and tolerating with minor coughing and gagging. She is starting to respond to painful stimuli. She is still not conscious, but the nurse said she's seen patients not regain consciousness for up to a week after discontinuing meds. If she continues to be comatose too long, they will probably order a brain scan. Her blood and urine cultures so far are not showing bacterial growth, but they are still giving them time to possibly show growth, so maybe right now the RSV virus is her only infection. I think now Linda's major hurdles to overcome are, number 1, regaining consciousness, number 2, battling through the RSV, and number 3, full neurologic and muscle recovery. I feel like I'm becoming a little robotic and non-feeling in my reporting these updates. I'm sorry for this, but I'm trying not to forget anything in my report to you. I'd rather talk about the wonderful, loving, caring, Christ-centered, beautiful, and joy to be around person that Linda is, and how I can't stop praying for her. My response was, thank you, Greg, for the great update. It helps me, and they don't seem robotic to me. Everybody agreed. It's difficult for me to process and express how I felt about seeing my mom's condition in person yesterday. I did not recognize her and actually doubted that I had the right room at first. That was discouraging. I didn't know what to expect, but I didn't expect that. She moved her toes for the first time, perhaps because she heard my voice. And that was a tremendous encouragement for the rest of the family. Her condition is marginally better each day. They're cutting back on the pressure for her respirator, or whatever they call it, where they're using the intubation to inflate her lungs so she can breathe. I'm more hopeful now of her chances to survive. There's a lot of unknowns. This is a journey that I don't know what the destination is going to be. trying to decide what I'm going to say on camera is therapeutic for me. It's actually helping me decide, or it's helping me understand how I'm actually feeling at this moment to share this stuff with you. I'm going to go back and see her today again. How can both things be true at the same time? Being profoundly discouraged and profoundly encouraged. It's hard to contain both things at the same time. You'll have to forgive my voice. I've had a lot on my mind and haven't been getting a lot of sleep. I hope I'm not coming down with anything. We drove by my mom's house to pick up her mail, and you'll have to forgive my morbid sense of humor here. This one happens to be from City View Funeral Home, Cemetery, and Crematorium. Good timing, I guess. I can joke about that because it's been a few days, and yesterday was very hopeful. My mom opened her eyes, and she recognized me. I asked her to squeeze my hand if she knew who I was, and she did. So, that's the first real hopeful sign. I feel like sharing a family story about Mom. It's actually my dad's story to tell, but I want to at least set the context for it. It's safe to say that the biggest regret in my dad's life was the failure of his marriage to my mom. He always blamed himself for it, and the story is called the 51% Wrong Story. I'm going to try and get him to tell it. The 51% Wrong Story is a sweet illustration of forgiveness, acceptance, and understanding. My mom and dad did divorce, but they remained good friends and had no acrimony at all. The point that I want to come across right now that's important to me about this story is that you can accept a profound loss while at the same time know that just because you have a loss doesn't mean all is lost.
Sure. The one thing that I've always appreciated about your mom was the fairness. When you marry somebody too, having somebody total trust them, when you talk about finance and everything else, and she was always, fair. And but the thing I, really appreciate the most, I suppose, or one of those stories. There's probably many stories I could share with you, but we went through a divorce, and of course, there's always different things, but there was a no-fault divorce. There wasn't any screaming, there wasn't any of that kind of stuff. But I remember for the first 5 years or so, there was different times we would get together and I would apologize for this or that or whatever.
Yeah.
And then, and I might have apologized 20 times. I mean, who knows, And one time she says, "I'll make you a deal. I'll let you be 51% wrong if you never apologize again." And you talk about the forgiveness, the forgiveness of Jesus. But when you're forgiven by a sister in Christ, it was an example of what Christ's forgiveness for us is. Mm-hmm. But I've never forgot that, and I said, "I'll take it." and I think honestly, I think I still had to different times hold myself back, think about something or guilt about something, then I wouldn't bring it up because, I was 51% wrong.
That was the agreement. I don't know why that just seemed poignant to me right now, but it's about understanding and compassion and forgiveness and
it takes
acceptance and loss, and it hits a human condition. So we're in real times right now as a family, and I like sharing these stories, even though we've heard them before.
Well, the thing that I know personally, growing up with a poor self-image and then making some mistakes, the bad thing is you pile things on yourself and you don't think you're worth them. And so I know with some of the mistakes I made it worse on myself because I didn't ever forgive myself. Mm-hmm. And, and really, here's one of those blessings that God had. After divorce and all that stuff, I found Christ. And the whole thing, my whole life started changing right there. And so, I don't know how a person can make it without Christ in the first place in this day and age, but forgiveness and reconciliation and dropping that burden is, I always think of God, Jesus, as the ultimate coach. He's with you every day, and you stumble on you pick yourself up again, give you a pat on the back. Hey, let's give it another whirl. And it's there every day. It's there every day for us. Sure. But I hate it. I wish life was, was a little bit turned around, that you learn lessons a little bit younger so you can apply them longer, to your life. But
well, it takes a lifetime to learn things, I think, sometimes. You're right about, the steadfast, forever quality of God's love. That's in a very impermanent condition of the world. That's a contrast.
This world is really mixed up and everything else, but there's not one person he wants to give up on. I mean, of the whole world. And his patience, it was like a lot of us, feel like, well, come on, Jesus, let's just get this over with, let's get back.
Just solve it and let's get back to the fun stuff.
Yeah, I mean, but to think about, well, first of all, I don't think we can fathom his love. I mean, it's there, but I don't think we can fathom. He asks us to use him as an example of forgiveness and reconciliation. But there's two things about that. I think the person wants to improve their life by walking his way. I can't imagine a person so stubborn that says, hey, I'm my God, back off. But I'm sure there are those people that, I'm right and, everybody else is wrong or whatever. I guess the thing I feel good about is maybe I'm just weak enough to realize that I need him, and the thing that I've noticed, especially in the last dozen years, is a lot of times you almost have a conversation with him through the day, and just different things. Especially, being single now for 17 years.
Yeah. This is after your second wife, Kathy, passed away.
Yeah. I think it's one of those things that you realize he's your constant companion, and I wouldn't even want to try what this world would be like without that walk. In fact, it's funny how the Bible says you really shouldn't want anything to do with this world because someplace else is so much better, right? but this is the human experience. There's just no doubt about it. But I always just like I was sitting there looking outside, it's just recognizing the blessings he's given me to be the caretaker of this 5 acres. And you just realize that, there's so many things, especially at 81 now, as you look back over the shoulder and you can reflect different things, how much he'd been involved in my life for longer than I ever knew,
Yeah. You don't know the destination, but there's always been a guide along the way, maybe?
That's probably a good way to say it, He's the really big, bright light at the end of the tunnel.
I'm recording this at night before I go to bed rather than in the morning like I've been doing with some of these updates. First of all, it's been several days since my last update. Mom has the breathing tube out and she can talk to us again. Today, for the first time, she's eating solid food and she feels for the first time like she's getting better. Dr. Vinayak, who's in charge of her care at the ICU, is cautiously optimistic. It's hard not to be wildly optimistic considering how much she's been improving each day. When I flew out here, they gave her only about a 25% chance of survival. I thought I was just coming back to say goodbye. You know, when I got to Denver for my layover, I was a little afraid to turn my cell phone back on just in case the bad news was right there waiting for me. Mom was fragile to begin with heart and cancer issues. The doctor, Dr. V, thanks by the way, you're doing a great job. He says that the rest of her organs are doing remarkably well. It's just her lungs that might not be recovering as fast as we might like. We may not know for a few more days yet how much scarring has occurred. She's about to be released from the ICU. From there, she's going to go to another floor of the hospital before she gets released to a rehab area. It may be another day or so before they can do a specialized scan of her lungs to find out exactly how much scarring may have occurred. But she didn't even have the little nose tubes that give her a little extra oxygen. So, you know, that looks to me like she's making a very good recovery. One of her nurses made a point of telling me that my mom has a particularly strong desire to get better. That is something that no medicine can give her, and it's very encouraging. Thanks for watching. Remember, your dreams are closer than the moon. Thanks for taking this trip around the moon with us.